Welcome, horror fam, to HHN365, a Halloween Horror Nights podcast. My name is Mike, and as always, I'm with my co-host Duff.
Hey, guys.
And my producer Nico.
Hey.
You can follow along with us on social media and interact with us at any time at Twitter and Instagram, HHN365. You can always leave us a voicemail at 407-906-3405. I feel like this is a perfect time also to say that we are not going anywhere. We are going to be putting out weekly shows. We have a lot of really exciting things going planned, don't we, Duff?
Yeah, definitely. We're working on some things that I'm pretty excited about / nervous about / confused about. So
yeah. So definitely keep checking in. We're going to be putting out weekly shows. On today's show, we're going to be having a roundtable discussion of the cancellation of Halloween Horror Nights at both Orlando and Hollywood. And to do that, we have brought on some amazing guests. Let's get it. Should we get right into it, Duff, and introduce our guests?
Yeah, bring them in, man.
Awesome. So our first guest is bringing a West Coast perspective to all this. You can find him on Twitter and Instagram at The Hauntline. You can watch him on YouTube at The Hauntline. Jonathan, how's it going, Jonathan?
Hey, thank you for having me on the show. It is an honor and a pleasure. And I wish it could be under happier circumstances, but hey, here we are.
Yeah, so do we. But yeah, we've been wanting you to have on the show. We wanted to have you on the show to talk about HHN Hollywood and the announcement, but now we have you on the show discussing the cancellation of HHN Hollywood. But at least we're talking.
Absolutely.
And then also joining our roundtable panel, you can find her at Twitter at the Scream Queens with an S85 and Instagram the Scream Queens podcast. Half of this new podcast, the Scream Queens. Jess, how's it going, Jess?
Hey, what's up? I'm so excited to be here. I'm a huge fan of the show.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks, Jess.
Yeah, no, I've been listening for a while. You guys are one of our a little podcast idols.
My heart.
Yeah, we're big fans of your guys' show too.
Oh, thank you.
So also on the show, you may recognize this voice before. We have had him on the show a couple of times. You can find him at Twitter at HonBrolo77, co-host of the Catacombs of Halloween Horror Nights. Hunter, how's it going, Hunter?
Oh, how's it going, Ho? Look, my OnlyFans isn't that expensive, so if we're gonna start doing that, $10 a month will get you access to the videos as well as the photos. But at the very least, I'm very excited to be here, and it's nice to be back. I'm excited to discuss with you all.
Yeah, I'm glad you are on the show again. Again, it's very sad what we're discussing, but we're glad to have you here to discuss it.
Thanks for being one of your 17 podcasts you're on this week.
So just make sure that you are also listening to Grim Grinning Host, Disorder, the Catacombs of Halloween Horror Nights, HHN365. I just did a guest feature on Freaks. Carry on. You guys are fine.
You're a busy man, a very busy man. Rounding out our roundtable, you can find her at Twitter and Instagram at Wendigots. Also a co-host of the Catacombs of Halloween Horror Nights, Shelby. How's it going, Shelby?
I've moved on to the second stage of grief.
Oh, I have been all over the place. I'm back and forth. I'm not at acceptance yet, so that's.
Are you telling me we get past denial at some point?
I haven't.
Yeah, what's the secret?
Right.
Copious amounts of alcohol.
I think I'm still in shock, honestly.
I'm working on it right now, so we'll be good by the end of the episode.
So we have also asked for on Twitter. We all asked for voicemails, and we got so many of them. So we're going to be playing a couple of them during the show, but most of them at the end of the show. We got one voicemail. I think it would be perfect to play now. Hunter and Shelby, you might recognize this voice.
It's my mom.
Hey, HHN365.
Oh, not this guy.
In terms of Halloween Horror Nights. You can hear most of my opinions on this on our show, but I just have to say I'm glad that everyone is doing the right thing here. It sucks. It really does. HHN30 in 2021 is probably going to be as lit as fuck. But yeah, it's a pretty ugly situation out there for everyone. California is not doing well where I live. Florida is not doing well where you guys live with all the virus stuff. So this is the responsible move, even though it's not the fun move and the cost-effective move, and it's not anything that anyone really wants. It's where we are. And well, I'm just happy you guys are doing a show, and congratulations on your show. You guys doing a great job, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
You can barely tell that he's 76 beers in.
Thank you for calling in, Quint. I would like to say that I think at this, now that we have that voicemail, in the last 2 weeks, we have had all 4 members of Catacombs of Halloween Horror Nights on this show. If you heard our show last, we had Matt, and now we have you two. We'll have to get Quint on officially, but yeah, we have all 4 of you of voices on our show in the last 2 weeks.
Catacombs, got to catch them all.
This is also where we bring up we are co-sponsored by Funko, so look out for variant editions.
All right. News and rumors.
Yikes. Yikes.
Duff, do you want to cover the big news announcement?
No, I absolutely do not, actually. but I will. So
what happened this week? What happened?
Halloween Horror Nights was officially canceled. I'm not crying. It's okay.
I'm gonna throw up.
Halloween Horror Nights was officially canceled on both coasts. This happened around 11 a.m. Eastern on Friday, the 24th of July. About 10 minutes prior to this, Orlando Informer broke the news, and once they put it out, you kind of knew it was official. I don't think we have anything else to add in this section, but that's the unfortunate news this week.
Yep, and we'll be discussing it in detail because that's what this whole show is about. Then also, what happened? What's going on with the tribute store?
Hey, that's opening. So Universal has confirmed the tribute store will be opening. We believe it should be running through at least the Horror Nights season, maybe longer. Who knows? We're kind of expecting it to be 1, maybe 2 rooms, depending on what details are in those 2 rooms and what that would possibly give away of what the event would have been. Probably selling just the retro merch. Maybe they'll add in some other stuff. Who knows? But, we get an actual tribute to Horror Nights, so that's kind of nice, I guess. I'm just going to spend a lot of money for no reason now.
That was their plan all along.
Right.
All right, let's hop right into the roundtable discussion. All right, guys, how do you guys feel? How are you feeling?
I'll go ahead and hop in here just because it kind of all ties together. So I got a call the night before around 8:00, and it was just like, hey, I think this is something that's actually going to happen. And as my roommates have informed me from being in the next room over, I was just incessantly going, oh my God, I didn't expect that. Oh my God. And so the next day, actually, even before that, I had messaged Duff just because we had been talking online earlier that day, talking about HHN30, taking a look at some stuff. And I was like, hey, I was told to expect some news tomorrow and it might not be good news. And he was like, oh shit, basically. And I was like, well, see you tomorrow, because at that point the tribute store was still supposed to open on Friday, at least, according to reports and everything. So when it broke, I got to the park early that day. It was actually my first trip to the park since everything's been shut down. And got there, tribute store was told not to be opening. Okay, cool. I got a message about 5 minutes before Orlando Informer broke the story. And I was like, oh God, is this just a backup? What is happening here? Then Orlando Informer posted it. And we were just like, well, damn, it really hit. And I just remember messaging Duff at that point. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll see you in 10 minutes. And him and I went poured one out at Finnegan's a couple minutes after, and it seemed super appropriate, like, to kind of be there, but like it was so weird to be in Universal. I remember exactly where I was. I was directly in front of the horror makeup show, which was like the weirdest location when all that broke. And man, just talk about something you never thought you'd see. And I think we're all in agreement that this is one of the best things that they could possibly do, but we weren't quite sure if they were going to do it or like how they were going to pull it off.
Right.
And we spent all this time, this entire season, talking about, oh man, how are they going to pull it off? And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you're looking at it, they didn't. They couldn't figure it out. It didn't happen. And we'll see what that entails next year. But yeah, there's a lot of thoughts. It's a very bittersweet time for this community.
Definitely. Yeah.
I'd like to point out no beer was wasted. We poured it out into our mouth, not the ground.
That is correct. We don't have that Orlando Informer money, unfortunately. So we were not able to do that, but we did enjoy it. So that's the important thing.
Yeah.
Well, I got to say, I was fully convinced that Hollywood would be canceled, but Orlando would still happen. Like I was 100% sure that was going to happen. So when I saw the news that both events were canceled, I was wrecked. I was completely shocked. The whole time I was sitting there thinking, all right, so how can I safely get to Orlando? Do I drive there? Do I rent an RV? What do I do? Because I know for sure we're not having it here in Hollywood. But now I guess the bright side is I don't have to worry about that. Maybe, I guess. I don't know.
That's something.
Yeah. And that's a huge thing. Like, unfortunately for you guys over there, Hauntline, like it was pretty public knowledge that you guys were pretty far behind on like your build schedules, unfortunately, with everything going on. But Orlando is still trucking along. Like, it's kind of weird to think about it, but like Orlando, I'm fortunate enough to be in Orlando along with a lot of other people here. Like, it's literally just all sitting there right now, like 90% of the way done. And it's such a weird feeling. But we had heard, I think like 2 weeks beforehand, that Hollywood was being canceled. And we were like, oh, well, that's interesting. And the fact that it ended up being a joint announcement, I feel like it caught us all off guard because we expected Hollywood news before anything Orlando.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I thought we were waiting on a Hollywood cancellation to get Orlando announcements.
Yeah, that's what I was convinced about too. No, not at all. Yeah, I thought like, okay, cool. They're going to announce Hollywood cancels and then we're going to get our first maze reveal over for the East Coast. But nope, here we are.
Yeah. Speaking of the timeline, we actually have a voicemail that I wanted to play because I feel kind of encompasses how crazy this timeline was.
Hi. So my thoughts with HHN being canceled is that obviously it is smart with the numbers rising in Florida and all of that, so I completely understand the decision. But I was cast to work this year, so of course it's just weird that one day I go from having my fitness test literally the day before everything was announced to waking up the next day finding out that everything's just canceled and there's just nothing that can be done about anything. And so now we're just kind of left in the dark, and I feel really bad for all the casting directors and everybody who's worked so hard to make this event happen. And obviously there's a pretty large fan base for HHN, so it'll be interesting to see what happens for next year. But it's definitely strange how it went from one day the houses are pretty much being completed with the facades going up to the next day an overnight decision where, Tribute Store is not opening and, well, that's it, the event's canceled. So that's all. Thank you, guys.
So, yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I felt like maybe about 2 weeks before, right around when we were hearing bad news from Hollywood, we started getting some things that I, at the time, thought was good news. Things were starting to ramp up here. So we were getting the merch shop stuff drops. We get the hotel packages are announced, and then we get the oh wait a second, we are having character dining, and everything was just kind of building up to a fever pitch, and then all of a sudden it just kind of all comes crashing down. Should we discuss Duff? We have some rumors of what happened. Should we kind of hop in and discuss those rumors of what made it all come crashing down?
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest one out is that a certain IP pulled out due to concerns about hosting the event during this time. It was a streaming service, according to HHN rumors. So I think we know where that's going.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
It was The Office House exclusively on.
Yeah.
It's just Dwight Schrute in that fucking mask, and he's just like going down.
Get in the coffin. Just get in the
He keeps
coffin.
saying, "Why so serious?"
Yeah, and all the trigger scares of them doing like that cover of Staying Alive. Like, it's really beautiful.
Anyways, so another big thing that's kind of been floating around a little bit more is that Orange County was kind of pressuring them not to hold the event. Doesn't seem like that was necessarily the one thing to stop it, but definitely it kind of piles on more. And then, of course, you have all the different potential safety issues and how they were just going to host the event in general. And I think when you combine everything together, they pulled the plug. I will say on this timeline, me and Hunter were actually messaging each other one day, extremely hype for certain reasons, and the next day we were crying. So it happened very quick.
And that is something that I want to reiterate. Like, I saw a lot of people post online, like, why would you ask to use certain tweets on Twitter? Why would you post this sort of thing? And like, first of all, realize that unfortunately that poor social media worker had no clue what was coming on down the line. But even beyond that, I think 99% of people, except the very top level, were even receiving any information that this was possibly something that was going to happen. Yeah. This came down very, very quickly through the top ranks, and it wasn't quite overnight, but it's not. I don't think it's hyperbolic to say this all changed within the span of a few days, not even a couple weeks.
I was even hearing like rumors within my circle, like, oh, we're getting an announcement in August. Like, we're still doing it. They filmed the commercial, everything. So I think it all came down to, like Hunter said, like the top level people were the only ones that knew, and it all came in at once and shocked all of us.
Yeah, I actually had a friend who auditioned, and he got an email Friday morning at 8 a.m. with his casting announcement.
Oh,
man.
Yeah, he got cast. I actually saw him today. He's like, I got cast, and he's worked, I think, 3 years in a row. And then the announcement came at 11, and he called me, and he's like, what's going on? I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
A little salt to that wound. That's
bad.
Ooh. And this is something that's so interesting because like you were saying, Duff, I don't think this was one thing. I think it was multiple factors that were slowly but surely working against them as far as like, how are we going to do ticketing? How are we going to do spacing throughout queues? How are we even going to operate these houses? Okay, somebody wants to drop out. What are we doing? If we do properties, and this, what I think might have actually been a big concern for our West Coast brothers and sisters, like if we have, they love their synergy on both coasts. If we move ahead with the event on the East Coast this year, what happens to those properties on the West Coast for next year? And I think with everything getting out of sync, like that really kind of threw things off.
Yeah, totally. And I obviously, I'm bummed because we all love horror nights. We love going to the event. But at the end of the day, I think I'm happier that we're not getting some sort of weird washed down event.
Absolutely.
We're able to next year go through it. Hopefully next year go through it full force, 100%, just like it was. The fog, the lights, the scare actors. And yeah, it would have been weird to have to walk through scare zones with, no scare actors out there. It would have been weird to walk through mazes completely social distanced and possibly without scare actors in them. So yeah, I think at the end of the day, I'm glad that like they made the decision that they did. Because again, as a West Coaster, I would have been super bummed that the East Coast would have the event, but over here in Hollywood, we'd just be sitting here twiddling our thumbs. You know what I mean? So I think at the end of the day, it balanced it out pretty well.
And I think it is one of those things, like we'll probably get into it, but the lineup this year is honestly, or the rumored lineup, let's give credit to HN Nightmares, is like spectacular, to be perfectly honest. Broken it down, looking at everything. Like, this is such a good lineup, and you want the best event that you possibly could for that.
Absolutely.
I don't think it's out of the spectrum. Shelby and I talked about it on Catacombs, but I feel like most of this lineup is going to stick around just because there's so much good stuff here, but you never quite know. It'll be interesting to see what becomes lost HHN like lore and history and what actually does go on, you know?
So let's get completely into that subject since you brought it up. Do we think we're going to see the same lineup, and do we want to see that same exact lineup?
Sure.
So,
I'll go quick. I don't know if we're gonna see the exact same lineup. I think some of the things will change. I think the originals maybe we'll probably see most of those comes back, but the IPs I don't. I have heard rumors that a lot of them are on boards, but there are things that come up and things that change. So I wouldn't expect all of the IPs coming back, but the originals I don't see why those wouldn't.
Mm-hmm. This will be their third go at that Two Fairy house. Like, hopefully it works out.
What's interesting to me, I have, I'm pretty new to Horror Nights Orlando. I only started going back in 28. I am curious to see if they're going to continue with an anniversary house next year. If they're going to keep that theme going, even though it's technically not, but it kind of is. You know what I mean?
It would technically still be the 30th.
Yeah, it's still the 30th event year. I think we're definitely still going to see the rumored Carrie house and the rumored Icons house.
Yeah. There are some people saying, is next year HHN 31? No, it's still 30. It's still the 30th hosted Halloween Horror Nights. It's HHN 30. Just in 2021.
Anniversaries work different than birthdays.
What I am interested in is seeing, like, there was a lot. I feel like it wasn't even as much speculation as much as it was just like not quite fact, but everyone was discussing it. And even the actor who plays a certain character in this community kind of confirmed it for us. But like, this year was going to be very Jack centric, and whether or not that was the original plan or not, personally, I don't think it was. I think that kind of evolved as we got further along without announcements. But it'll be interesting seeing if Jack comes back next year to host the event, because for a lot of people, he is the face of the East Coast event, right? So I feel like it would make sense to bring him back, and he's kind of the heralder of like, we're back, guys. And I think that would work for a lot of people.
Right. One house that go ahead, Duff.
Okay. So I think there's two big things that I look at for if we're going to get the same lineup. One is the soundstage houses. Will they need to be used this year for studio purposes? In which case, they'd have to tear the houses down. At that point, they could try to piece them back together, or at that point, it's made just as easy to build something completely new. And then two, if you can leave it up, isn't it like a huge cost-saving benefit? Because I'm assuming next year the budget is going to be much lower than usual, because between now and next year, there's not going to be a lot of revenue flowing into Universal parks.
Yeah. Personally, I feel like they're going to make more money out of the event next year than they are off of their production schedule, just because productions are going to be drastically slowed for quite a while.
Yeah.
And, they start building these houses super early. We started hearing about construction. You guys love to post your permits on Twitter.
Absolutely.
But you guys are like that Dave Chappelle meme when it comes to HHN permits. Like, it's great. But like, they start putting these things up super early. For the tents, you're talking like January, and for the sound stages, not too far after that, like March. So I feel like any sort of production budget that they're going to get in the next few months might not even be worth it when you're talking about how excited people are going to be for the return of Halloween Horror Nights, because it really could be a big deal next year for a lot of people.
If anybody's going to be filming in those sound stages.
Yeah.
Right. One house I do think that it was an original house that we may get something like it, but we probably won't get exactly what we are going to see, is that Puppet Theater house. From what I've understand of it, that house was basically going to be something that was going to be like very socially distanced. They came up with that just basically due to the COVID-19, that concept. So that would be the one. I think if we do see something like it, maybe we'll see something totally different than what they planned.
That's very interesting. The one that I'm like most not sure about is actually Haunting of Hill House. The reason being is like we actually talked about this on Grim Grinning Host during 28, that it was like super heavily rumored, and then it actually, during 29. And then, it started to pick up steam pretty early on in the event year this time. But with Haunting of Hill House, they have a whole new season coming out next year, later this year. It almost feels like the synergy is going to be off unless they have a way to retheme it to Bly Manor instead.
Right, or do both. You would get a little bit of the first house and the second season kind of crammed in there. Yeah.
Okay with that.
But didn't Stranger Things, the first house, come out after season 2 came out?
Yeah.
So it's not unheard of.
I get what you're saying. It's different, but like, I don't know. They did it with Stranger Things.
Well, I mean, look at American Horror Story. They combined all those seasons together.
Yeah, I also feel like this house was rumored to go in the New Parade building, which is where Seeds and Monsters was. I feel like this could be rethemed to a different original if it really had to. It's got just enough of kind of like, I don't want to use the term generic, but it's got just enough of like a common haunted house feel where you could repurpose that if you had to. Because from what I've heard, a lot of these houses are going to be not torn apart. They're going to be as carefully dismantled as possible, and they're going to reuse as much as possible.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Good to know. There's only one house I was like dying for. It was my dream house this year.
I feel like that one's I think it's good.
That's what I'm hoping. Everyone keeps saying it. That was like my dream house. Everyone wanted Ghostbusters. Beetlejuice is my house.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So I'm waiting. I'm crossing my fingers.
That's one I definitely hope comes back as well, because I was super stoked for that. From the second that we saw it rumored, thanks to HN Nightmares, I was like, hell yeah, like finally.
I texted my best friends and I was like, bitches, it's on.
Do we believe that Beetlejuice is an evergreen property? And even with it getting the musical getting canceled on Broadway, do we still think that the house will probably come back next year?
Yeah. I think it's like Ghostbusters, even though it was the anniversary for Ghostbusters last year with the 35th. Like, I feel like Beetlejuice is such a powerhouse, especially when it comes to merchandising. Like, merchandising for Beetlejuice is huge. If you go on Hot Topic right now, there's like 518 different items for Beetlejuice. I swear to God. So like, I feel like Beetlejuice will be back. Plus, you have that Universal legacy. It's pretty cool that they did Ghostbusters and now Beetlejuice, and kind of are continuing that.
I've always been curious about how those rights work out, because obviously they had Beetlejuice in both parks, both coasts. You know what I mean? I wonder if it's just the rights to the character, and then they have to get the rights to like things from the movie. I've always been curious about how that works, but I hope it comes back.
Yeah, I feel like this is one, Tim Burton did that museum that I think was in Las Vegas for a period of time. But wouldn't this have been like one of the first like interactive experiences ever based on like a Tim Burton movie that wasn't like Nightmare Before Christmas?
Yeah, they have that like Beetle House restaurant in LA and New York. I guess you could consider an interactive, but it's not Tim Burton run. It's not like endorsed by him.
Gotcha.
It's like a fan. I've been to
one in LA. It's good. It's like cosplayers, really. So I guess you could consider that, but this would be the first like official license.
Gotcha. And I don't think Toothsomes counts. So
no.
No.
Now, I do want to see Billie Eilish come back for one reason, and just to watch the toxic masculinity meltdown.
Yes.
Hey, I get so mad. I saw several comments, more than several, honestly, about like, well, now that it's canceled, at least we don't have to see fucking Billie Eilish.
Oh my God, I know.
I was like, yo, how do you hate it that much? That is amazing. And
I went on a little rant. We recorded last night.
more and more hype as we got along, and I kind of heard some more things that were going into it. It sounded like it was going to be a kind of badass house with some really cool imagery. So but people just saw Billie Eilish like, oh, we can't have some 18-year-old young female artist as a house. Come on.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
For those of you who was like wondering what this was going to be, Duff, were you mentioning kind of the Eilish updates account that was kind of tweeting about it?
I mean, yeah.
Did you guys see that?
Yes.
I gotcha. So like that house was supposed to be, and this is from a Billie Eilish fan site, so take this as you will, but like it says, according to a source, the house would have been a step into Billie's journal. The facade of the house was going to be a giant gray face, presumably from the animated Izamek video. So the whole house was going to be filled with like sleep paralysis demons, and they were all going to be like original designs. And Billie was not actually going to be represented in the house besides that imagery. And I feel like this house would have really grown on a lot of people because you're basically getting a kick-ass like soundtrack to an original house. And I feel like a lot of people would have changed their direction on that one once they actually walked through it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then I think this kind of leads us into with these potential changes that will come or staying exactly the same, taking an extra year, hopefully less restrictions. So wear your damn masks, people. Do we get a better version of HHN30 and what will be HHN 2021 in Hollywood?
We talked about this on Catacombs because we were talking about like the budget cuts that they did and they fired a whole bunch of people. Laid off a bunch of people. We don't think it's going to be bigger. We just think it's going to be the same with no social distancing and things like that.
Yeah.
Right.
But Shelby, you and I had talked about it, like to run this event year. And we talked about it at the top of this. I think it was you, Mike, but just like this year, we had heard so many rumors about there not being any scare actors in the streets, or they were completely removing I think you guys referred to it as this on the AVP episode, completely removing the meat flaps and the sif from in front of you guys. Meat flaps is totally different. Ask your parents. So anyways, but removing all these elements, the fog that people associated with the event and putting all the scare actors behind some sort of covering or anything like that. Like, yes, it would have been cool to have it from the sake of just having it, right? But the fact that ultimately this is going to lead to a better event, I think that's why there was so much to our credit as a community as a whole. I feel like all of us knew that and acknowledged that and made our peace with it.
But I don't think they're going to spend any extra to make it bigger than what they had already planned pre-virus.
Because the budget was already the biggest that they had ever done. There's really no reason to even go beyond that.
Right. Do you think we'll still... I know we were hearing rumors about like, oh, we're not going to have any alcohol. We're not, or things like that. Do you think that's still going to be in play if there is a little bit? No, you think they'll just go back to
bring back drinks? They absolutely will.
Yeah, they make so much money off of that.
Yeah, they make way too much to make it a dry event.
Well, I think that's going to come down to what is our climate like at that time.
Totally.
I mean, if we're not, if there's no vaccine. If things aren't looking much better, I really hope they fucking are. But if they aren't, I mean, one, do we have the event? I assume they have more time to kind of figure out how to pull that off. I think they could, but would we still have those same cuts? Probably. If things get better, there's no way they don't serve alcohol. That's their bread and butter as far as revenue goes.
Mm-hmm. As much as they hate it.
Yeah. And another cut that like I feel like everyone was discussing constantly was, where are the passes? When are we going to hear about the passes? And like, I heard from a couple people that the passes were in the system. Universal had no clue whether or not they were going to activate them and actually allow people to buy passes.
There was also a thing where they weren't going to let in team members. Sorry, quote unquote, rumor allegedly that they weren't going to let in team members like at all.
I feel like we're heading that way anyways, to be perfectly honest. This year would have been like the one that forced them.
They've been losing benefits a lot for that.
Yeah.
Because last year was the first year with blackout dates for them, right?
Yep.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well,
What's
I
interesting
believe,
is that I was hearing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I believe they also just recently lost their guest privileges for team member preview night, right?
Yikes.
That was a couple years ago.
Was that 2
It
years
was like
ago?
I think that was
2017.
27, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, was it really that long ago?
Wow.
Okay, never
Yep.
mind. Either way, losing benefits.
Yeah, and we heard rumors about Hollywood losing a couple of May spots this year, anyways. So it looked like Hollywood was getting some budget cuts as is before the pandemic really was a thing. So I'm curious to know if that's going to translate to next year as well. Allegedly, we were going from 10 mazes to 9. And then obviously with the I think it was version 3 or 3.5 of the Horror Nights Nightmare map, we went down to 6. So yeah, I'm really curious to know even just how the Horror Nights Hollywood budget works out in general, because I mean, in Orlando, you guys have decor wall to wall. Your mazes are incredible. There's huge, and here at Horror Nights, they're kind of scaled back here in Hollywood. You know what I mean? And we have the infamous black walls that are allegedly, budget saving tactics. So I don't know how that works out.
I don't want to shit talk Hollywood, but when I went to Hollywood 2 years ago, it was the worst night of my life.
Please shit talk Hollywood. It's fine. Don't worry.
It was terrible.
No, there's a lot that
line passes.
Oh man. Oh yeah. There's a lot that Hollywood could definitely learn from Orlando, for sure. But yeah, I'm just curious to know if that's going to affect next year at all. If we're going to end up getting less mazes, because this was the first year in Hollywood's 20-year run that we had 10 mazes.
Yeah, I actually wanted to ask you. So, like, the common consensus that I saw from the Hollywood spec maps as they went out this year was just oof. And I'm just curious, like, do you think ultimately next year is going to be a lot better just because they are not going to have? I'm sure unfortunately, Hollywood is still not open, and I imagine that's severely going to hurt their financials, unfortunately. Yeah. But do you think the event is going to be different from what was speculated this year, minus those shared IPs?
I hope it's not, because I think all in all, 2019 was a pretty solid year in terms of like what we've had here in Hollywood in the past.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the budget cuts, with the park not opening yet, I would not be surprised at all if we still got kind of a watered down 2021 here in Hollywood.
Sure. You guys have like Texas Chainsaw Massacre every other year, it feels like.
That keeps coming back, man. It keeps rearing its,
shrimpy leather faces. They're so skinny.
They're on those vegan diets out in there. Yeah, I was curious because like I was talking to a few friends from Hollywood and they're like, damn, I am just so fucking sick of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And over here, we did just have the original movie at 26. But we've also picked up a lot of new fans since 26, and we haven't had it nearly to the same amount of time as you guys had. So hopefully that one swaps at least.
Totally. And I mean, that was what made me so excited about the first version of the Hollywood map from HN Nightmares, which again, shout out to you guys. You guys do excellent work. It was so different from every year that we've had here in Hollywood. It was a year without any of the Titans of Terror, which keep coming back every single year. We had Sabrina on there. We had Gremlins. We had just things that we've never seen before. So then when the next map came out and then the next and the next, I was just like, well, here we are, back to the same old thing.
Yeah.
So
And
go ahead, Hunter. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, so there was like a rumor that Texas for us was kind of a replacement for another IP that ended up dropping out early in the year, and that was just because it's no secret. It's available if you want to go look. That was Silence of the Lambs, which was being discussed. I'm curious. Next year is Scream 5. Next year is Halloween Kills. Like, I'm very curious, like, if they kind of hop on that synergy train and pull in some other, like, maybe the attempt Scream again. I'm not sure what the contract looks like with Dimension, or maybe we've had Michael every other year since 24. So, like, maybe they bring back Michael in some sort of way. It'll be interesting to see, as far as like the IPs, what gets swapped out.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm hoping for Candyman to be a hit too. So I'm hoping that maybe that we can that swapped in, because that movie looks so badass. I'm so excited for it.
This
yes.
man looks.
That animatic trailer was incredible.
Oh,
Yes. Oh, it's amazing.
I'm so excited.
Just release all movies on demand already. Just do it.
It killed me to watch that get pushed back.
Yes.
We got Bill and Ted 3.
Oh, stop!
Hey.
I'm getting excited over here. Before I say what I was going to say about Hollywood, please give us the Scream House. I finally want to see it.
All of us do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We're due for it.
But going back to Hollywood and talking about potential changes going into 21, we might as well bring up the rumor that's been kind of popping up over the past year. I don't know the validity to it, but that this could have potentially been Murdy's last year.
That was a rumor like 2 years ago, too.
He's been saying that since like 27.
It's been going around. But apparently, this was like the legit one. Supposedly, obviously. It's still rumors.
Well, as long as there's still a Frankenstein house to make, he'll be there.
I mean, he's been living in Ireland for what, like 5 years already?
Right.
Why do you think they have no budget? They've got to fly him out 2 times a week.
That's why we have the walls. Damn it, Murdy.
Every time Murdy flies, you get an additional 3 black walls. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, man. I want his job. Can I live in Ireland and work on Horror Nights in California?
Right?
But
now I know that
I'm trying to make boils down to not whether or not that's true, but how much does your event change if you don't have Murdy?
Oh God, please. I don't think it will change much because it'll probably still have the same like head of art and design, which is I think Chris Williams.
Yeah.
So I don't think it would change much.
Well,
I think
here's
it's
the deal.
time to get some fresh blood in there, though.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Murdy does great work. He's been doing it for a long time, but yeah, now I think it's time to get a fresh face in there to really spice up the event because for a while there, I really started feeling like Horror Nights Hollywood was just getting very repetitive, which is why other SoCal haunts really started to call my name, namely something like Not Scary Farm, which is pretty new. It's so great. Queen Mary was improving a lot, and so you can just tell that a lot of the tricks were being recycled over and over again in Hollywood. So I think honestly, it could be good to get somebody else in charge of the mazes, because I know that Murdy has a lot to do with mazes in Hollywood. And honestly, last year, I mean, he had a day where he collapsed from exhaustion. Like he talked about it a lot. So maybe it's time. Maybe it's time to hang up the cape and just kick back and let Hollywood do its thing.
Yeah. Enjoy retirement in Ireland. Have fun.
Right. Totally. Yeah.
And then I got to say, in 2018, I went out for the hunt season. I did Horror Nights and then Scary Farm the night after, and Scary Farm was far more impressive.
That's what we did. We did Horror Nights, and then we were planning on a second night of Horror Nights, but we realized how bad it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then we bought Scary Farm tickets like the morning after and did that and had the best time. Like Dark Ride is still one of my favorite.
Oh, that is such a good house.
Shelby, was that the year you messaged me and you were like, "What did they do to Ash Williams?"
Yes. Yeah. Hollywood has this weird casting thing where they don't specifically cast your look; they just cast you. And so they'll stick somebody in a mask, no matter what role it is. So there was a bunch of Jack Nicholson masks. There were Bruce Campbell masks everywhere.
Oh my God.
It was terrible. It was
And the heads are just so huge. Like,
you would think they'd have more talent to be able to cast appropriately.
It's Hollywood.
Yeah.
You would think.
The makeup artists, everybody available to you, but instead Orlando is like setting the template for that.
They just slap masks on everyone, and they look horrible usually.
Yep.
They don't even fit their faces half the time.
They really don't.
I'm sorry.
I'm not trying to be shady, but
no, it's rough.
Listen, y'all, I went to Orlando in 28, and it just took one night for me to be like, oh my God, this is the king. This is the king of Halloween events. So I get it. I get it, y'all.
I will say, though, their Saw House in Hollywood was better than our Saw House.
That's not like a compliment, though.
It's a small compliment.
Yeah, but the next year they put Sam from Trick or Treat in like a clan outfit. So like we've got to retract any sort of.
Oh man,
I was so mad when I saw that.
I think the biggest bummer was in the Shining house where we had the actual elevator of blood. Theirs was just a projection on a wall.
Yeah.
It was really bad.
Oof.
You can also film inside their houses.
Which,
with your phone.
yeah, and I want Orlando to start that because I mean the work is so amazing out there. I want to show people how incredible the set design is, the lighting, the scare actors. And it's a bummer to go through the mazes and not I feel like I have to sneak my camera out and then I'll get tackled by 10 people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
See, I disagree with you there.
I want.
I'm glad it's not a thing either.
Yeah.
There is one thing I want though. Hollywood actually has security cameras in their houses.
Yeah.
Oh.
We need that over here.
You guys not?
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
No.
If
Damn.
you're a
I didn't
scare
know
actor,
they
you have
had
to
them.
run to the back of the house and tell your manager, "Hey, I was just punched in the face by this one guy. I barely saw him."
It's pretty off-putting when you see a 6-foot-tall man do a line of coke off Frankenstein's shoulder, but it's okay. It's Orlando. It's a different time. Fun spot is a code word. Just remember that.
Anyways.
Have we shit on Hollywood enough for the night?
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
I'll take a job though if they're hiring.
It was the worst night of my life, but you know what?
I'd love to work there.
Yeah.
I will say I like the uniqueness
There's
of the
potential.
territory. So something nice.
Yeah.
It wasn't great, but it was unique.
Yeah.
And listen, I will say it has gotten better throughout the years. But there's still a lot that can be done. And again, this kind of goes back to, I think a change in leadership could help the event overall to kind of get out of the rut that it's kind of been falling into.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So what house stings the most for you guys over on the 365 end? I have to know. Off of the rumored lineup here.
Nico, you can go first. I'm pretty sure I know the answer.
You know the answer.
Billie Eilish, actually, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was, because I feel like since everyone was shitting on it, it has the most to prove. So I feel like it would have gone over the top.
I like that.
Really,
Totally.
it would have been. I mean, it's really a three-way tie for what I was super excited about. But I think Billie Eilish was what I was most forward-looking to seeing because I want to see how they execute it. But of course, Beetlejuice and Bride would have been amazing as well, which I really hope we get.
I feel like Bride was the early contender for Art and Design's favorite house this year. Every year there's one of those. Like for 27, it was Dead Waters. That's the one that always comes to mind. But what would I bet? I bet something very valuable that Bride comes back next year.
Oh yeah, I don't think there's any chance it doesn't.
Yeah. Same with Pumpkin Lord or whatever the pumpkin house was.
Yeah. I think both of the anniversary houses are fine because regardless, it is the 30th anniversary and they're going to celebrate that. However, I
was going to say those would be the two that would hurt me the most because that's taking away the whole anniversary factor.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I would not want to lose those two by any means.
Regardless what happens, next year's the 30th. So I feel like they're going to be fine.
What about you, Mike?
Mine, I have two. Hill House, I was really looking forward to, and then, like Shelby said, that Pumpkin King house. I'm a nerd for this classic Halloween pumpkin, and that one I was looking really forward to. So, and I agree, it probably will come back.
I'm right there with you. Anything classic Halloween is totally my aesthetic. So that one's super high on my list too.
I don't think there's much incentive to changing the originals either. I think they're the kind of easiest to leave as is. There's no contractual issues involved.
Right.
For the most part, they're in locations where they can almost definitely be left up for the most part. So they should remain unless they really want to change one or two of them.
Yeah, and we'll just get better versions of them when they don't have to social distance inside the houses. So I think,
Yep. There was I think it was Soundstage 44. This was during 2012 before it got dismantled to become Transformers. There was an Aztec Mayan themed house. And that's the one that ended up getting replaced by Universal Monsters that year when they used the parade building. But further proof, I think it's Imagineering that normally says a good idea never dies. And we kind of saw that spring up with Tomb of the Ancients. a couple years later. So whether or not it's next year, the concept is still sound. I guarantee we'll see. If it's not next year, we're going to see it somewhere down the line.
I mean, Tooth Fairy's been an idea for years.
Yeah.
Years. So
that one hurts too. That one hurts really bad. I was ready to see that.
Yeah. Oh man, now I'm just sad about Patrick.
We'll be discussing these potential houses for the next year or so. So we'll have plenty of time.
Someone asked me, do you guys think that they'll like, if they come up with enough good ideas, they'll just do like a Slaughter Cinema 2? Someone was just like, if they come up in the next year with like 20 new ideas, and I was like, ooh, I don't know.
I think a Slaughter Cinema Scare Zone would be fucking awesome.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'm still going by my Make It the Lagoon show.
Ooh.
Yes.
Cool.
Oh,
Yes.
cool.
Scare Zone next to the lagoon with a lagoon show.
Oh,
That would be. Oh yeah.
All right, so to move the conversation just a little bit back more towards the actual cancellation or postponement or whatever semantic you want to use. It's happening next year, not this year. From strictly a safety standpoint, do you think it could have been pulled off effectively, or was this the absolute necessary call? Just in that.
No.
I agree. Yeah.
No, I think this was the right call, to be honest. I think we were all hoping that they would just somehow solve this puzzle, but I think it proves that they really just didn't have a way to solve it, that ultimately inside the houses, it was not going to be safe.
How would you socially distance the queues that involve gravel?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Where do you put those markers?
You're definitely looking for the guests to police themselves. And I
that's
don't know
a
if
terrible
police
idea.
would- Yeah, that was not the correct word, first of all. To control themselves, I guess.
Yeah.
To use
anyway.
logic?
Yes.
Yeah.
But guests typically aren't good at that. I don't know if you've ever been to a theme park, but they aren't. So I don't know how it would have worked in the queues. I don't know how it would have worked in the dark houses. I honestly don't know how it would work in the streets either. Even when the scare zones would have been less compact, there wouldn't have really been scare actors. I still don't see guests fully socially distancing. I don't see guests who have had a few beverages, whether that was in City Walk or at Finnegan's, wherever they got that alcohol.
Or both.
Leaving their masks on.
In their car.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pretend
Raise
I
your
don't
hand.
do it in the garage. I do it.
I got some horror stories.
But yeah,
I'm just
with you.
imagining Shelby. I'm just imagining Shelby dressed as the storyteller, just with a Four Loko in her hand instead of in the Spider-Man section of the garage.
Oh man.
Team Jurassic Park, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't see how they would have pulled it. Like, they would have tried it, but I don't think it would have worked very well.
I keep going back to the fact that it would totally just change the integrity of the event. You know what I mean? It would have to be so drastically different. It would not be Horror Nights. It would be like this weird, bizarro Horror Nights with plexiglass and empty streets. And from a brand standpoint, I totally agree with the cancellation, because again, you would have to just completely dismantle the event and start it all over. Like mazes would have to be 6 feet on either side. You know what I mean? Scares would have to be behind plexi. Scare zones would have to be empty. They would have to do digital cues for everything. So it would just be so drastically different that, I think this was the right call, because then, again, we can have the event, but have it the right way.
Yeah. I've always believed that anybody that wanted to be able to experience this event should have the opportunity. And Halloween Horror Nights is a worldwide event. And the fact of the matter is, we have so many people, friends of ours, from all of us here, that live overseas or live somewhere else in the United States where it was not feasible. Either they were blocked out from traveling like entirely, or they were not going to be able to travel this year for health reasons. And the fact that it would be this lost year for so many people that basically aren't Orlando natives. Like we kept talking about different compromises. Like the event was kind of becoming the Black Knight from Monty Python. Like he was just looping over and over and over. Like no drinks, no express, no frequent fear, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's fine. At least I get Horror Nights." And at the end, like it's just his torso. He's like, "All right, we'll call it a draw." But like it's really not that at all. I think everyone has this sense of relief that it's not happening, and next year, fingers crossed that everything is as close to back to how it should be.
Right.
It's such a hard thing. Yeah, please, for the love of God. It's tough because it is the right thing. Is it going to suck because now I've got 2 entire free months plus of time that I have no idea what to do with my life? Yeah, a little bit, but it is for the best. And I'm excited that next year, there was even a conversation that's just run it this year and then next year you can use the same houses.
No,
that's kind of
horrible.
everything that Orlando's gone against.
It's not us.
Yeah, you're going to amp it up the next year. It's oh, wow, now you don't have to stand 6 feet away from your scare actor. That's going to be your
Same
marketing.
house, but closer.
It's Beetlejuice 2.0, Electric Boogaloo.
we are
glasses down.
It's the Jurassic World poster where it says the park is open, but it's just HHN instead, and it's just but yeah, this is totally the right thing. Anybody and like I said before, everybody knows this is the right thing. Does it suck? Yeah. But this is what needed to happen. And it is for the right reasons. And I'm excited that, once again, fingers crossed, toes crossed, that next year, everyone who wants to be able to celebrate the 30th anniversary of Halloween Horror Nights will get their opportunity to do so.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
Right.
Like you said, I felt for all the people who would not be able to make it. We interact with a lot of them on social media. We've talked with them on the podcast. So many people would have missed out this year, and I felt very bad for them. I'm selfish, so I would have gone and been happy, but I would have felt very bad for them.
Yeah. Did you know that Florida guy doesn't live in Florda? The poor guy would not have made it over here.
Right?
Who knew? Sorry,
False
Gary.
advertising.
I think people forget too that it's, Horror Nights is such a huge team effort. It's not just the people in the mazes, it's people behind the scenes. So you would have to get, hundreds of people really together to make this thing happen. And, how do you social distance when you're putting makeup on somebody? How do you social distance in costuming? How do you social distance when you're trying to lead a cast through a maze? You know what I mean? It's just this huge group effort. So how do you make sure that everyone's safe? Well, you can't right now.
Yep. And that's
you
the
spray
thing.
the airbrush from 6 feet away.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It lands.
Every scare actor will have Lysol, and that's what they're going to be scaring you with. But no one wants to talk about it. But what happens? Let's say, unfortunately, some scare actor was to catch this very, scary thing. Do you have to shut down that house for the rest of the event week? Is that house no longer available? I can totally see why someone like Netflix would be no, what the hell are you guys doing? We can't do this because we can't say, come to Halloween Horror Nights and experience the Haunting of Hill House. Oh, wait, it's actually closed because somebody in the house caught COVID. It's super dark to talk about it that way, but that's just the reality of it.
And those are the
for sure.
conversations they had.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
It's a brand that's definitely marketing off of the fact that people are staying home too.
Mhm.
So I think they want the more people staying home, the better.
Right.
They probably should have took a page out of the NBA's book and did a bubble at Portofino for all the team members. They have to live there.
Oh, they would never.
It would be endless summer.
Portofino's closed.
It'd be-
Portofino's closed already. It's fine.
I am a little disappointed we didn't get the Disney welcome back, we've been waiting for you, but just featuring the Halloween Horror Nights icons.
That would have been
With the
amazing.
same soundtrack and score underneath it.
Hey, there's always next year.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Oh, that'd be good.
It's just like Jack the Clown with a Lysol wipe, just wiping down the switchback.
All right. To kind of round the part out, I think we know the answer to this, but I'm going to use a specific word. Are you guys happy with the decision that was made?
Ooh.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Sad as I am personally, I think I am happy with the decision.
Yeah. I feel I think it was Jess and I who were talking about it, but literally all of us, if this event was to run that puts so much pressure on all of us as far as like making it happen. Like, is it irresponsible? Yeah, to be perfectly honest, it totally is. But like a bunch of crackheads, we were going to be there anyways. So by removing that was the responsible thing to do.
Right.
Like you were saying earlier, we were basically together when it happened.
Yeah.
And I remember you asking how I felt. And I think my first response was relieved.
You did.
Because I would feel guilty going to the event. I pushed social distancing, staying home, wearing a mask. And then I was suddenly going to go there like 30 nights in 2 months. Like,
It feels super critical.
Extremely guilty. So I was very sad, but relieved. And I guess you could say happy to see this decision.
Yep.
And then to make it a little more fun before we finish this whole discussion, if you could take one aspect, any little piece, it could be food, it could be house, whatever you want it to be, from HHN to be featured during the day over the normal season, what would you want it to be?
Corn.
I'd have to agree. I'd have to agree with that.
Sweet
Shelby,
corn.
let me tell you, there's a great guy named Del Monte, and like he's available.
S'mores fries.
That's my final answer.
Corn and s'mores fries. All right, I like it. This is going great.
They already served canned beef over at Islands of Adventure, so
Oh my God.
you don't have to worry about that.
Gotta love that who hash.
Yeah, that's right.
Square blinky cups. That's mine.
Oh, square.
I hate those square blinky cups. That was my first year at the event too.
I'm so sorry.
I know. I threw it out. I don't even have it anymore. I couldn't keep it.
What are you supposed to do with those when you bring them home? I
Right,
know,
like you don't have to straw.
anyways, I will say twisted taters.
Hey.
There we go.
Personally, I wouldn't mind a Marathon of Mayhem like show in the evenings, perhaps something themed to Universal Monsters so that they don't have to worry about IPs. That would make me very happy.
Yeah, you had the better end.
Yeah.
I just want the tree pumpkins back in Central Park.
Oh, yeah.
That's all I want in life.
Yeah. I was actually going to say the Central Park pumpkins as well, but because it's already been selected, just add "Send Me an Angel" by Zeromancer back to musical.
Damn it, Nico, you should have had him queued up. I told him to put that in.
Could you imagine, like, you're walking into the gate and you've got like the Back to the Future theme, and then like Beetlejuice starts playing, and then you're like, oh shit, here it comes, and you're like Dr. Frankfurter, and you're like shaking with anticipation, and then you just hear, and then you get that right now, and it just like,
Oh my God.
you transcend, man.
I hate it.
So hear me out, Shelby. What if they take the blackout room from Graveyard Games, but instead of the whispers, it's just
No,
Oh my God.
absolutely not.
It's Jimmy Fallon's voice. All of his impersonations.
You're killing me.
My favorite idea for last year was Yeti Terror of the Yukon, starring Jimmy Fallon.
Oh my God.
All the hunters replaced by Jimmy Fallon lookalikes.
And they're all constantly laughing for no reason. And just slapping like their thighs.
I'm gonna add on to my corn statement. Just have like little pop-up tents along just Universal in general, just serving like pumpkin beer, pumpkin snacks, or Halloween snacks. Just
That'd be fun.
Just for the Halloween spirit. Just some stuff.
So, you know what? That kind of leads into one last question I'll ask. Do they do anything for Halloween outside of the tribute store in Universal? Not necessarily Horror Nights related, but just Halloween.
See, I'm thinking about this, but like they've never had to do this before. The reason being is the park closes at 5:00 during that event season. So like we've never had this before. Are they going to stay open till 8:00 so like we can actually experiencing something at night? Or are they going to shut it down beforehand so they can't even really do like a nighttime show or maybe they just throw up. Like, I feel like the pumpkins make the most sense because you could kind of do that and people be like, oh, this is cute. Like, this is nice. Shelby brought it up a few times, but bring over the Halloween themed meet and greets, even though they're socially distant meet and greets right now.
Yeah.
Like, bring over Bride of Frankenstein, Hello Kitty, and the Universal monsters to kind of say hello to as they are in their little spots around the park. Like, that's something, you know.
That would be nice. That would be nice.
I'd like that.
I just want to hug Dracula.
Hunter, I don't think that's what you want to do to Dracula, is it?
No, I'm going to take his wallet.
Well, I have to say, guys, this was very cathartic. I really enjoyed it talking about this. I feel a lot better about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was content with it, but I was kind of in shock. I'll be honest, I was pretty sad about it. It was the right call, obviously, but I was sad about it. But talking it with you guys definitely has made me feel content with everything. One thing I did want to bring up on the show, and not necessarily apologize, but address that. I know that we kind of played a little bit of on Twitter and on the show, kind of the push to buy that BOGO ticket. And I wanted to address it that, I think we told people like, hey, this is the last chance to buy that BOGO ticket. And then the next day, it was like 2 days later, the event was canceled. So do we know how those refunds are about? Do you just call customer service and they're processing those?
So as of right now, you can call and you could either they say it's valid for next year or you can get a refund on it. It's not an issue getting the money back for it. Although they say it could take up to 6 weeks.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Still faster than Walt Disney World with the annual pass payments, though.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And I did want to second Mike's comments. This is the happiest I've been and the most I've laughed since, I guess, 3 days ago. So thank you guys.
That's true. That's very true for him.
They've played video games with me. I haven't been very happy.
No.
Well, hey, I mean, I'm just gonna say it. I'm glad that we have the community that we do have because, I mean, hell, we all need each other right now. This is an unprecedented year, an unprecedented thing that has happened. So I'm glad that we're here for each other. And yeah, thanks for having me on the show. Again, this is it helped. It definitely helped.
Oh, for sure. And I think you make a great point. The community we have is amazing. And if you want to compare our community to Disney's, they handle things a lot better. There was a lot of...
Have you been on the Facebook page recently?
I've avoided it. Thank you very much. Why would I go there?
Yeah.
But for the most part, on Twitter and Instagram, I've seen a lot of, this hurts, I wanted to go, but this was the right thing to do. See you next year, Horror Nights. To where in a lot of other communities, especially within the theme park community, there's a lot of overblown reactions and petitions to save racist attractions. I'm just saying.
No one's going to buy a bunch of Jack plush and then gets resold on eBay. Take it out in large bags.
You didn't see me walking out of Universal today, pal.
Oh yeah, I wondered why you asked to borrow my wheelbarrow.
Are you saying these Brer Jack plushes are unauthorized?
Brer Jack.
Oh my god.
How do you do?
Don't tell James.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Does anyone have anything they would like to, coming up or talk about, projects that they would like to talk about real quick?
I'm selling shirts.
And they are awesome. They are rad.
Yes, we love those shirts. We talked about them on the show once.
I just got my samples in today, and they are they're a little starchy, but if you put them in the wash with some fabric softener, they're pretty good.
And are you talking about, what are you calling it? The Cabana Guts series?
Cabana Guts with a Z.
Nice.
Yeah. So they're I want to do another couple of designs, but right now I'm starting off with a Vamp and Jack designs. Or technically it's Jack and Eddie because there's a chainsaw, but
hell yeah. Expect a few orders under my name. Just saying.
Yeah. They're pretty cool. And I have masks too. So, and dresses.
Yep.
So that's my plug.
I'll go ahead and plug. Of course, thank you guys for talking about Catacombs. Shelby and I both do Catacombs of Halloween Horror Nights. Coming up to celebrate the 5-year anniversary of HHN25 is Shelby and I taking on the legacy of doing, Catacombs started off as a history podcast of the event. We've covered each event year one by one in excruciating detail. Matt and Quinn and Karen all started that off. And Shelby and I are super proud to continue that. So for the 5-year anniversary of HHN25 kicking off, we are going to be breaking down that event in full, which is very exciting. We're very excited to talk about that. But a little bit sooner than that, on my home podcast of Grim Grinning Hosts, I have actually a winner from Helping Haunts. Her name's Erin, and Erin is coming on to talk to us about the importance of IPs at Halloween Horror Nights. I feel like they often get a bad rap, unfortunately, and it's really not deserved. People are always like, oh, not an IP. The originals are great, but there have been so many great IPs over the years, whether that is Cabin in the Woods or Poltergeist or Universal Monsters, and we're very excited to break that down. So that'll be on Grim Grinning Hosts later this week.
I will intersect with Hunter real quick. Helping Haunts, we've all teamed together with Helping Haunts to donate a bunch of money to charity. It's not going to stop at the Black Lives Matter. It's going to continue to whatever charity needs our help. So just keep an eye out for Helping Haunts, and we'll post whenever something needs our help. So keep an eye out for that.
Yeah,
Great.
Awesome.
Yeah, so the Scream Queens, we're a newer podcast. I just want to plug that. I know you guys did in the beginning, so thank you. We're a newer podcast. We only have, I believe, 5 episodes up right now. We have our HHN cancellation episode coming up on Wednesday. And then next week, we have a huge kind of undertaking. We're ranking all of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies.
Ooh,
Nice.
Yeah, that's
Looks
our
like a fun
next
episode.
big thing. And we have 2 guest hosts coming on from Big Heck and Wade Adventures.
So it's going to
we're
be like 5
excited about
hours
that.
long, right?
Oh yeah, it's going to be a lot of editing. Super excited.
I guess as far as the haunt line goes, we're not going to stop either. I mean, hell, I think we all need some relief right now. So the haunts is it. We're going to continue. We've got more podcast episodes coming out. We're finally finishing season 1. And then we're going to have some awesome guests on after that. And this week, we will also be discussing on YouTube the cancellation of Horror Nights and potentially other cancellations down here in Southern California.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then before we go out, I do want to say that some of your local haunts still may be opening. Please support them. This is going to be a really important year for them. If you get the opportunity and you have an actual haunt around you that's opening, go visit. Give them your support. They really need it this year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Definitely.
Duff, I'm not sure if you wanted to mention it, but you and I are working on something to kind of tide over people during this Halloween Horror Nights upcoming season, or what was supposed to be. So that'll be a joint production between Catacombs and HHN365. So still figuring out all that, but we will have something exciting for you guys coming on down the pipeline.
Yeah, definitely. I look forward to that.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for being on the show. You can once again, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at HHN365. And please, please, please keep the voicemails coming. We love them at 407-906-3405. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in the streets. Voicemails to follow.
A lot of voicemails to follow.
A lot of them.
And thank you, everyone who sent a voicemail. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.
This is an email from Ellis at the London Werecat on Instagram. Dear HHN365, I hope you are all having a good day. Thank you for everything that you guys do for the HHN community. As much as I am sad about HHN being canceled, I think it's for the best. Horror Nights would have been a toned-down version of what we are used to. Horror Nights thrives on interaction and close proximity. With Corona around, the true charm of the event just wouldn't have been there. I'm hoping that they will go all out next year, though. Thank you all so much. Have a good day. Sincerely, Ellis.
Hello, HHN365. I'm a big fan. Name's Alex, aka Homie La Saga. Man, this is weird calling right now at 11, but hey, man, I'm just bummed out about Halloween Horror Nights, Orlando and Hollywood, because I'm actually over here in LA. So I'm used to going to the one in LA. But yeah, last year was my first time going to Orlando's, and damn, I was so excited after going there. And now I gotta wait a whole year, man. Everybody's gotta stay strong and hold out for a whole other year. But I'm glad they told us sooner than later. I mean, just waiting on that announcement was, man, I gotta say it was killing most of us, man. Online, I could see everybody was like, hey, what is that? When's that announcement coming? And everybody's like, I don't know, next week, tomorrow, in a couple of hours even. I've heard people say that. But in the end, and then it ended up turning out like this. Thanks a lot, COVID. But I'm hoping everybody stays safe out there. Once again, I'm a big fan. Everybody stay strong. 2021 is going to be better, and it's going to come back stronger than ever. Have a good one, everybody.
Hey, this is Johnny Bronto from Hansing, and I am super bummed that Halloween Horror Nights 30 is being postponed until next year, but remember, there are plenty of other haunted attractions out there that you guys can visit. So it is a bummer about HHN, but remember, Halloween is not canceled.
Hey, yeah, so my family and I have been going to Halloween Horror Nights since 2009. Got all the t-shirts lined up, you know, the first one at Showtime. This is like the first time that like it's been canceled for us, obviously. Like we've made it to the Orlando one a bunch. We've even gone to the LA one in the same year a few times. Such a fun experience. It's literally our family reunion. Like for some reason, like the one thing we all connect on is just getting scared at these events. They're just so fun and they're so like interesting to see like movies turned into like, I say realistic, but you know, turn into like haunted houses and get to like experience it, like stuff like the fan bases we love, the movies we love, getting to see them like put into this form of like being there and being scared by it is just next level. And you know, like it's sad. I kind of saw this one coming, obviously, because like even though all the scare actors are wearing masks, it's going to be difficult to put all those people through like these tight areas, and Orlando gets packed. You know, like this is a ever-growing, more popular event each year. But, you know, like, I'm happy that we're choosing safety first, and I'm hoping that at the end of the day, you know, next year when it comes back around, they'll hit us with some crazy stuff, and it'll be like an experience that we never had before, and I just look forward to that. All right, rock on.
Hey, guys, it's Jessie Jen from Seems Millennials podcast, or the Jessie Jen on YouTube. And I just wanted to say that I really do understand the decision that Horror Nights made. I feel like it was a difficult one, and I know a lot of people are upset like me. I actually cried at work when I heard the news. But at the end of the day, it's the concern of the safety and health of their staff as well as the guests in the park. And I do think it was the right decision, as much as I'm gutted about it. But hopefully that means next year will be like the best, and they can do the best anniversary that they can give us and have more time to perfect it. And I love you guys, and I appreciate that we have become friends over Horror Nights. So it does hold a special place in my heart, this event. So make sure you guys subscribe to them because they're really cool. I love their podcast. Okay, bye.
Hi, my name is Christy, and I wanted to talk about, you know, my thoughts about Horror Nights. Obviously, I'm really upset that Horror Nights is canceled for this year. It's really disappointing, but what I am hoping is that, assuming the cases are at a point where smaller haunts are allowed to open, I'm hoping that some of these smaller haunts around Orlando and throughout Central Florida get a little bit more love this year. You know, there's a lot of great, high quality, super creative haunts around here that, you know, maybe we'll get a little bit more business, a little bit more support this year without Halloween Horror Nights. So if you'd like to read some of my thoughts and some of my experiences at other smaller haunts from last year, from 2019, I do run a blog. It's called Orlando Decoded, Orlando like the city, and then it's DECODED, decoded, like you're decoding something, orlandodecoded.com. If you go to the Halloween category in my blog, I went to a bunch of smaller haunts last year, like Fright Maze and Dark Horizon and Ominous Descent, and if you want to read about that, you can do so there. Thank you very much.
Hi, so my thoughts with HHN being canceled is that obviously it is smart with the numbers rising in Florida and all of that, so I completely understand the decision. But I was cast to work this year, so of course it's just weird that one day I go from having my fitness test literally the day before everything was announced to waking up the next day finding out that everything's just canceled and there's just nothing that can be done about anything. And so now we're just kind of left in the dark, and I feel really bad for all the casting directors and everybody who's worked so hard to make this event happen. And obviously there's a pretty large fan base for HHN, so it'll be interesting to see what happens for next year. But it's definitely strange how it went from one day the houses are pretty much being completed with the facades going up to the next day an overnight decision where, oh, Tribute Store is not opening and, well, that's it, the event's canceled. So that's all. Thank you, guys.
Hey guys, big fan of the podcast. Just wanted to say in regards to the cancellation that it is sad news, but it's for the best. But this does mean next year will be even better. And I know nothing is official, and this is a little off topic, but I love to see that the Universal Monsters have been getting their proper resurrection recently. And also, I hope to see that Bill and Ted comes back. It would be great to finally have that show back. It'd be refreshing. And one last thing, why haven't we seen the Lost Boys at HHN? Like, come on, like they gotta be here soon. But anyway, stay safe and take care.
Hey, HHN365. This is Quinn from the Catacombs of Halloween Horror Nights. You can hear most of my opinions on this on our show, but I just have to say I'm glad that everyone is doing the right thing here. It sucks. It really does. HHN30 in 2021 is probably going to be as lit as fuck, but yeah, it's a pretty ugly situation out there for everyone. California is not doing well where I live. Florida is not doing well where you guys live with all the virus stuff. So this is the responsible move, even though it's not a fun move and the cost-effective move, and it's not anything that anyone really wants. It's where we are, and well, I'm just happy you guys are doing a show, and congratulations on your show. You guys doing a great job, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Hey, this is HHN Crazy, and on Twitter, and just for the event this year, I feel like it just really sucks. I could speak on like just everyone, just the feeling of just how much it just sucks. I think that this year that maybe just this is like a hope for me. There's nothing to confirm this. Maybe I think Avion on Twitter said this, but I would say mainly that we may see one thing like the Peacock Live special, but I feel like we may have a Beetlejuice house, just be able to walk through like a Stranger Things Day event. That's just the dream, but yeah, it just really sucks what happened, and I just hope that 2021 will just be a better year. So yeah, that's HHN Crazy Twitter. See you guys.
Hey, I'm from upstate New York, and the one thing I was looking forward to was Halloween Horror Nights, especially after this past year. I'm really happy they want to keep people's safety intact, but in my opinion, they should have announced it sooner. The whole event will go on till it can't go on, must be horrible for the team members and all the people that have been applying to be scare actors. I personally work for a haunt up here. And it's rough, especially when you're counting on it. I respect them for doing what they gotta do, but yeah. Okay.
Hey guys, this is Ryan from Indianapolis, and just wanted to call and give you my thoughts on Halloween Horror Nights and what I thought of the decision. Well, I'm glad, honestly, that they made the decision and took it out of my hands, because I would have probably made the decision to try and head down there and make it work one way or another, because that's how much I really wanted it to happen. So in some ways, I am really, really glad that they made that decision to cancel it and take it out of my hands, make the decision much easier for me. I'm also really, obviously, super, super bummed, but know that it was not an easy decision, and that they will do their very, very best to make it the best they can next year, and that I will just, I can relive all the memories from listening to these podcasts and watching videos on YouTube, so I'll make it through another year, but I've already got my package rolled over till 2021, and I hope to see you all there, and love what you guys are doing. Keep it up, and I can't wait to hear more from you soon. Bye.
What's up, HHN365 podcast? Love the content. Keep it coming. Pretty much all the podcasts I listen to are Horror Nights oriented. I started going in the 90s with my family, and 2015 was my adult entry back into the event when I started going regularly with my current girlfriend. But as far as this year being canceled, it's kind of a relief for me. I know that I would have literally had to take off 2 weeks prior to my trip and 2 weeks after my trip just to quarantine for it. So to miss out on an event would have been heartbreaking, but the fact that I know I don't need to miss 5 weeks of work just to try and make it work is enough for me to be grateful that they canceled it in general. I said from the start of this COVID whole scenario that Halloween is celebrated on the 31st of October, so the 31st year from the start with its 30th anniversary. Next year should be a great year. Can't wait to see Horror Nights. Hopefully see you guys in the fog. And let's enjoy Dufftoberfest this year if we can. Have a good time, guys.
What's up, HHN365? My name is Abe Nevin, and here's some thoughts I have about HHN30 in Orlando and Hollywood. So, yeah, it is kind of messed up that, Hollywood is already, getting canceled already, but Orlando is honestly quite a huge shock, as the theme parks are open in Orlando rather than, I live in California, so I already kind of knew the event wasn't going to happen this year here in Hollywood, and I'm fine with it. But in general, I thought it was incredibly selfish that Universal Orlando wanted to go through with the event and started constructing already. I did purchase a buy one get one free ticket, which does kind of contribute to the whole notion of okay, Universal's selfish and going through with this. But even a little glimmer of hope, like the tribute store, made me incredibly happy. And I was just like, wow, no way, it's really happening. Gotta get my plane tickets. But before I did any of that, luckily I waited, and now the event is canceled. And I think Universal has made the greatest choice on doing that. I think they should have announced way before that the event will be canceled and will be postponed to next year. But I think this is a great choice they're doing. They're, I don't want to say they're saving lives, but they are at the same time. I think it's important to stay home and, combat this in every way possible, as well as, being safe in general. And I think this year we should leave it to our own creativity and our own minds to create our own possible Halloween Horror Nights in our own houses, and just do what we can to have the spirit, but also just have fun. Because, yeah, I get it. As much as we all want Horror Nights, I want it so bad. I needed it. It's my thing. We all love it. But this virus, I mean, it's ruined, you know, the whole world. So we have to cope with it and live with, I think, the year-around maze that the world has set for us, the coronavirus. Isn't that kind of funny? If coronavirus was the maze, I feel like this is the maze we've been going through, the year-long Horror Nights event. And I don't know, Halloween Horror Nights would have been the glimmer of positivity for a lot of us, but Universal canceling it is the best thing they've done. And, you know, I think 31 is going to be better. I think 31 is going to be the year we're all going to be here for. It's going to be the greatest Horror Nights year of all time. And look, I think 2007's Carnival of Carnage is the greatest year. But I mean, I think 31 is going to be the one we're all going to be at. And we're going to look past this and we're going to be like, you know what? This was worth it. So yeah, thanks. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great day and hope to hear this possibly on the podcast. All right, have a good